Thank you very much, Paul, for that introduction. It's an honour to be presenting at Resource Rising Stars conference again this morning. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your interest in the Red 5 story. It was 3 years ago that Red 5 bought Darlot and King of the Hills gold mines in the eastern goldfields of Western Australia. We bolted them together from a production stance, and since then we haven't looked back. We've generated positive cash flow, which we've invested back into the business, growing tonnes, grade, and significant mine life. Along our 3-year journey, we've hit many milestones. The largest to date being the completion of the final feasibility study at King of the Hills, which sees the project with a reserve of 2.4 million ounces, placing it as one of the top 10 largest endowed gold mines in Australia. And it gives Red 5 a clear pathway to become a multi-operational, mid-tier gold producer by 2022. We're well placed from our cash point of view for the construction of the standalone processing plant and infrastructure at King of the Hills. At the end of September, we had over $106 million in cash and bullion in the bank, and that was a consequence of the equity raise that we completed earlier in the year. That equity raise saw a number of top quality institutional investors join our register, which we believe is a blue chip register. As Red 5 grows into a mid-tier gold producer, we've increased the bench strength of both the board of directors and our operational team, and I'm delighted to see Andrea and Jason join the Red 5 team later this month. Andrea, both have significant experience in the mining industry, and one of their highlight qualities, which is very apparent, is their very strong technical nature. Andrea will enhance the governance and ESG capability of the board, and Jason will help drive Red 5's growth strategy at both King of the Hills and at Darlot. Both Andrea and Jason join a strong leadership team with strong operational experience. We have skill sets in development, exploration, mining, and construction. As Paul said at the beginning of the at the introduction, Red 5 is a producing gold mine. Our guidance for this financial year is 90 to 98,000 ounces. We produce both from the underground at King of the Hills and underground at Darlot, and we have a central processing facility. Once the standalone processing facility is constructed at King of the Hills, we'll have two mines and 2 processing plants producing in the order of 250,000 ounces of gold from an annualized basis from 2022 onwards. So our current guidance is on track. For the September quarter, we generated $9.8 million in cash, which we reinvested back into the business in the way of exploration and growth. We paid off $4 million of our Macquarie debt facility, which has an outstanding amount of $8 million to pay. And we also launched Project 200, which is a multi-departmental strategy to be able to drive our costs down across the business, either through efficiency, producing more gold, or taking cost out. And that has an aspirational target of reducing the all-in sustaining costs by $200 an ounce by the end of this financial year. At Red 5, we've been busy over the past 3 years. We've been able to build up our tenement package, and we've been able to acquire a number of bolt-on acquisitions. Earlier in the calendar year, we purchased Great Western Mine. It was a bolt-on acquisition for $2.5 million. Since the 1st of July, we've been having a strong drill program in the way of extensional exploration drilling along strike, also grade control, and also deeper at depth. This project is due to start on the 1st of January and will help Darlot to break the dependency of the King of the Hills mine. It's worth noting that after the exploration work had been completed, this project is scheduled to generate over $25 million worth of positive cash flow from an investment of $2.5 million. Other tenement packages that we've been able to pick up entrepreneurially over the past 3 years around Darlot has given us one of the strongest tenement packages across the eastern goldfields. Cables and Mission to the north of Darlot is another tenement package that we picked up for $2 million, and we have started surface exploration there. And onto the western side, we have the Ockerbury tenement that hasn't been drilled properly since Western Mining some decades ago. So we have a very strong footprint. We have a strong exploration program for this year, both at underground and on the surface. It's also worth noting that Darlot is one of the great gold mines in the goldfields. It's been mined continually for over 30 years and has produced 3 million ounces of gold. So we believe that the future is bright at Darlot. Moving on to the second mine that we have, the King of the Hills project, some of the highlights of the feasibility study that was completed in September. 16-year mine life, first production in less than 18 months' time in the June 22 quarter. The first 4 years sees the highest gold production as it benefits from both the open pit and the underground being mined in unison. The first 6 years has a production on average of 176,000 ounces at an all-in sustaining cost of $1,339. So it will be, once it's completed and in operation, Australia's next major gold mine. It has very strong metrics from an investment point of view. The next steps are the completion of the debt facility, which we need to marry up with the cash component that we have in the bank at the moment, leading to the financial investment decision later this month. So a couple of slides on the feasibility study. The geology is well understood. We've been mining King of the Hills for the past 3 years. Previously, it has been mined off and on for over 30 years. There's been 2 million ounces that's been mined from both the open pit and the underground, and there's over 700 kilometers of drilling that makes up the resource model. So the geology is well understood. It's open along depth, it's open along strike, and we expect that with additional drilling that we can extend the underground mine life past the 4 years that is currently in the feasibility study. The metallurgy is well understood. With that 2 million ounces that's been processed from the mine site, from King of the Hills, both underground and open pit, the metallurgy is well understood. It is a coarse grind, it's clean, low reagents, high gravity gold. We have front-loaded the crushing circuit with a 6 million ton gyratory crusher. So we have already upsized the front end. The processing mill, we've purchased a FL Schmidt 4 million ton SAG mill. which is oversized and with additional power requirements. With additional power, we can see that increasing past the 4 million tonne per annum run rate. So we have inherently built in additional flexibility and capacity to go beyond the 4 million tonne nominated run rate. With a 16-year mine life, we can see the ounce production. It is extremely strong, and it again is one of the major, will be one of the next major milestone gold mines in Australia. At 2,500 gold price, we can see that this project has an NPV of over $1 billion. This is an asset that we purchased 3 years ago for $16 million. So you can see the value that has been created. With regards to the construction, we appointed our construction manager 6 months ago, and that has enabled us to be able to work in parallel to be able to fast track gold production, which is the strongest driver of shareholder value. With our construction manager in place, we've been able to overlap a number of activities, which includes the appointment of the EPC contractor, which was awarded earlier this month. With the appointment of the EPC contractor and the bulk earthworks, we have already awarded 82% of the processing and infrastructure of the project, which has a budget of $188 million. So I think it would be unprecedented for a company that 6 weeks after finishing its feasibility study has already committed to 82% of its capital project. And this hopefully gives you an idea of the targeted focus that we have to be able to get King of the Hills into production in that June 22 quarter. Of the 82% that we've appointed to date, we've nominally saved $12 million compared to the budget. So we're well on track to be able to deliver this project on time and on budget. The second part of the funding that we've touched on is the debt funding. We've appointed a debt financing consultant that we've been working with for the past 12 months. So this process, again, is well underway. We've talked to a number of high street banks in Australia, a number of international banks, and a number of other financing institutions. The feedback is very strong, that we're in a supercharged gold environment. We're in the best mining jurisdiction in the world. The project, having 16 years, has a very strong reserve tail, and the project economics are very strong. So we expect to be able to conclude the debt funding portion in the coming months. A couple of value slides for you. We see where Red 5 is today, and we see Red 5 where it will be with the two operating mines producing the 250,000 ounces per year on an annualized basis. So if investors are looking for low cost, long life, we see that King of the Hills is the place to be. Compared to our peers on an enterprise value by reserve ounce, we can see that there's significant upside compared to our peers. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to the Red 5 story. At Red 5, we're very excited about the future. We see that King of the Hills is a unique project in these uncertain times, as well as providing Red 5 with the pathway to becoming a mid-tier, multi-operational gold producer. It also has significant benefits to the people and the economy of Western Australia. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Mark. We have one question, if you don't mind. A shareholder has asked that, the future looks good, but they're saying what will be a catalyst for a share price re-rating here, in your view?
Sure. I think that we're continuing to work hard to be able to deliver on our commitments and to be able to hit our timetables and our milestones. So I see that as we continue to be able to deliver on those, then people will be able to see the value of the project come through. We've continually hit our milestones. Appointing the EPC contractor was one of those milestones. We're going through the mining services contract, which will also be coming through in the next couple of months, and also completing the debt financing. So I see that there's a strong news flow over the next 18 months as we get into first production.
Thanks very much, Mark.
Thank you, Paul.